She-Wolf of London was a Universal monster movie from 1946. It's a black and white mystery movie. It's directed by Jean Yarbrough, and it stars June Lockhart and Don Porter. Yes, June Lockhart of Lost in Space fame. Except here she's around 20 years old, and she's playing this very sweet, innocent heroine of the film. It is a Universal monster film, and it's technically part of the Wolfman series, as I understand this. And I'm going to open up by saying that this one is definitely a much different entry into the Universal Monster series. I mean, without giving away details, I'll just say this is probably not what you would expect. Even though it does have, I think, a very entertaining Hitchcock-style twist at the end of the movie. Honestly, I didn't even see it coming. So, it's a good film. You know, the story opens up. We're in the early part of the 20th century. We're in London, of course. Phyllis Allenby, who's played by June Lockhart here, is a sweet young lady who lives in this big mansion with her kind of creepy aunt, a cousin, and a servant. And her character is engaged to Barry Lanfield, who is played by actor Don Porter. However, there's a series of creepy murders taking place each night, and there's talk going around that this is the work of a werewolf because, you know, it's London, and that kind of thing happens from time to time, I guess. So Phyllis starts to become anxious and worried that she might be the one who's actually turning into a wolf each night due to this curse of the Allenbys that she feels she's a part of. And that, and the fact that the dogs around the mansion keep barking at her. So I guess that's a sign you might be a werewolf. I guess. So anyway, her anxiety continues to grow, and soon she's bedridden. She's telling, her fiancé Barry to stay away, and just wants to be left alone. And Barry, however, starts to investigate, along with some Scotland Yard detectives, of course, and they're off to find out who or what is behind these werewolf murders. Now, I'll leave the review here, because I don't want to give away the ending. It definitely was not what I expected. I want you to watch it and be surprised. And I think it was a clever twist. And June Lockhart, like I said, she does a fine job here, once you get past that whole Lost in Space connection, which is a little distracting at first, I had to admit. I watched a lot of Lost in Space back in the day, so there's that connection. And Don Porter, he does a fine job as the concerned fiancé who kind of steps up at the end to really investigate what's going on with this wolfy mystery. And to be honest, as a closing thought, this felt less like a Universal monster movie and more like a decent episode of the classic Twilight Zone. You could tag on a Rod Serling introduction, and this easily could have passed as a classic episode of Twilight Zone. But instead, it is part of the Universal Monster catalog, and even though it's a little different in scope and direction, I think it's a good film, and it's one that's worth checking out.
Blood.